Heading into the wildfire season, safety is on the top of everyone's minds. Hear from the Norman Fire Department on how you can stay safe. And we get the chance to sit down and talk to the winner of Ward 4 City Council seat. Hear about their goals this term. This is Sooner Stories. Dry conditions and gusty Oklahoma winds often lead to springtime wildfire situation. I'm your host, Michael Buchanan, and this is Sooner Stories. Up first in studio, we have OU Nightly reporter Jack Hancock and Norman Fire Department Deputy Chief Joel Chesler. Jack, take it away.
Well, thank you, Michael. Today I am joined by Deputy Fire Chief Joel Chesler. Chief Chesler, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So I guess we'll start off, you've been with Norman Fire for 25 years. I'm sure you've seen a lot of change throughout that time. Talk about how the department has kind of adapted to change over that time.
When I first hired on, our brush pumpers were not the apparatus that we have today. They're a lot more capable apparatus. The city of Norman has a large, what they call a wildland urban interface. We're almost 200 square miles in area. So we have to have apparatus that are highly mobile and highly efficient at putting out fires in those areas, because there's a lot of homes also in those areas, not just rural areas. So a lot newer apparatus than when I hired on. We build those apparatus that are four-wheel drive now. They have lift kits on them, so they can really get around a lot better than what they were, 20, 25 years ago.
Talk about, different apparatuses now, but take us back to last March, a time when the use of those apparatuses became crucial. Wildfires became rampant throughout Norman and East Norman. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So that was March 14th was a day that you just don't see very often. It was the right recipe for wildfires that day. High winds, low humidity, lots of fuel. We did some pre-planning in the days leading up to that. We had a lot of equipment staged already, and then as the day started going, the winds kicked up. Once the winds kicked up, we experienced a couple simultaneous fires inside the city of what I call the inner city of Norman, some structure fires, and then not too long after that, the eastern side of Norman lit off. When that happened, it really pushed our resources and our personnel to their limits. We have approximately 150 employees at Norman Fire Department, firefighters, and 2/3 of the department are on duty and working that day. We had all of our reserve apparatus, our backup apparatus. They were all deployed. So we had quite a few different fires going on, and just everybody was out and everybody was busy. And fortunately, when you look at the state and what happened that day, there were some fire deaths. Norman was very fortunate. No one was killed. We did lose a few structures, but when you compare us to some of the other areas that were hit hard, Norman fared a lot better than other areas, and I attribute that to the professionalism in Norman Fire Department.
You talked about that professionalism and how that helped lead Norman into success, for lack of better words, that day. But also, there was a lot of fire rampant throughout Norman, and you talked a little bit about how you had to prepare for that. But also, I feel like it's something that you can't always prepare for. What does that preparation look like for Norman Fire?
So if we know ahead of time, and a lot of times Oklahoma Department of Forestry puts out something called a situation report. We'll gather those reports. We'll look at the current weather forecast, and we'll start gathering that data. And we kind of know what's going on. We'll start seeing fire behavior change. And what I mean by that is like right now, if you have a grass fire, fire behaves different ways at different times in the year, and we're able to recognize, hey, this is the time of year, you got a fuel-rich environment, you add the other ingredients to it, and it can get out of hand really quickly. So we kind of can do some of that. Recently, in that last month, we have some technological tools that we're able to apply that we didn't have. Satellite imaging technology and some forecasting models right here from the National Weather Service that's not quite available yet, but we have access to, and then we coordinate with Department of Oklahoma Forestry that really helps us out with some pinpoint forecasting. It's almost getting to the point like forecasting a tornado, for example, here in Tornado. Everybody's familiar with that. we can kind of forecast if a fire happens in this area, this is going to be the behavior.
You talked about how the department prepares for wildfire season, but how should Norman residents prepare heading into this wildfire season?
So yes, you heard me talk about the wildland-urban interface, especially those people that are living in the wildland-urban interface. I'm big on promoting defensible spaces around your homes. So a defensible space would include something that if a fire breaks out, it's not going to have a ladder, what we refer to as a ladder fuel, that's going to ignite your house. So if you can cut shrubs back, if you can have trees cut back, if you can have your grass mowed to a level of 4 inches or less, those are all things that you need to have done around your house, especially in the urban interface whenever help may be just a little bit longer. But controlling those fuels and then making your place highly accessible. We have large apparatus. Sometimes we run into areas where your driveways or gates aren't big enough for us to get our apparatus in.
What do you do in situations like that?
We'll usually find a way. We'll usually cut fences. We've pushed fences. I mean, you name it. We've probably done it to gain access whenever there is a fire. So, but just help us out. And then the other things during this time of year, if you're living out in those areas, keep a water hose hooked up. Keep your sprinkler system in check. I've seen a lot of homes, like on March 14th, there are several homes where they evacuated, but they turned their sprinkler system on, and we came back and their home was still there. Wow. So little things help.
You talked about the little things that people should do and can do. What are some of the things that people shouldn't do?
So one of the things that I see a lot, of course, there's the improperly discarded smoking materials, i.e. cigarettes, or if somebody's been burning their fireplace, they dump some ashes. One of the biggest things we see is a lot of these fires get started from improperly securing items on trailers, such as your safety chains. Safety chains dragging down the road, going 60 to 75 miles an hour will kick a spark. This type of grass is a tinder box. It kicks that off and then it gets going before you know it, especially in wind. I think it was, we're right about 2 weeks, the big fire up and down I-35. That was more than likely something hanging off a trailer, a safety chain, or possibly a blown tire. So those are really things when you're towing a vehicle or doing any of that, make sure everything's really secured.
What's the difference in how you fight these wildfires versus something like a structural fire?
So with a structure fire, it's usually in that location. You know it's going to be there. With a wildland fire, when we show up on scene, we have to be thinking in terms of where this fire is going to be, not where it is currently, just because of terrain and a lot of issues. So we're thinking ahead of time of fire movement. Where is it going to be in 5 minutes? What's this weather going to do, and how hard is it going to push it? We're pretty aggressive at Norman. We'll get up at the head of the fire and get in there and get after it and get it put out. But it's just the type of apparatus we're putting. Guys are not wearing air packs. So they have what we call wildland gear. So it's a lot lighter gear than what we have our structure gear. Our structure gear is designed to be in a lot more a hotter environment with our air packs. So our gear is different, our apparatus are designed different, and our techniques and our tactics are even different. So.
What does that difference hope to accomplish?
The difference, we need to be able to be a department, any department needs to be able to adapt and overcome whatever fire they're faced with. So here at Norman, we pride ourselves in being knowledgeable and proficient at fighting those structure fires, wildland fires, your hazardous materials, obstacles may come across. So any of that, it's just a constant. We train, we research, and we prepare. So.
One last question for you. If Norman residents do see smoke or a small brush fire, what should they do?
As always, call 911. If it's threatening your home and these type of conditions where we're in this drought, have what I call a go bag and a plan. So have your evacuations routes down, and if you have valuables, medications, or anything that you need to take with you, have something that you can throw in your car very quickly and know your way out of your neighborhood. So because if we call an evacuation order, if we're calling it's serious, and we need you to leave and leave the dangerous stuff to us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Chief Chesser.
Yesterday, voters in Norman took to the polls to elect members to 6 seats on the Norman City Council. OU Nightly City Hall reporter Jack Hancock spoke to one winner, Ward 4 City Council member Helen Grant. Jack, what is Councilmember Grant hoping to accomplish this term?
Well, Michael, Councilmember Grant says they want to continue their progress tackling issues like homelessness, stormwater drainage, and TIF reform. Here's more. Thank you so much for joining us here today. What do you think are some of the biggest issues facing the city, but more specifically your ward?
I think the city faces issues relating to stormwater. The way we deal with stormwater now is project by project. So as new developments are built, they're built to a current standard. Whereas in older areas, we don't have new development unless it's a rezoning request or they're doing by right a tear down and build back. But we really need money to enact some projects or finance some projects. So if we did an East Downtown TIF, tax increment finance, which would be supported by ad valorem, not sales tax.
You talked a little bit about the TIF there, and we'll get into TIFs
Yeah.
as general, as there's been quite a few developments in this city in the past couple months. Your opponent, Cindy Gordon, says that the TIFs need to be fixed. And what's your response to that?
I don't disagree, and I'm already doing the work to get us to an ordinance that the city can adopt. And so I've brought it forward, I want to say in January or December timeframe, a TIF ordinance to review with my colleagues, and so we can work towards adopting something. After the news of the Arena TIF and the Supreme Court affirming that Judge Virgin's ruling was all right, I told city staff that we would be working on the ordinance every month in oversight until it was ready to be voted on by a full council.
Kind of the big three problems, according to your website, and really a lot of people I've talked to in Norman: TIFs, stormwater. We've touched on both of those. We'll get to the third now: homelessness. And I know that that's something you're passionate about: homelessness and affordable housing here in Norman. The new shelter. The proposed new shelter with the April bond initiative. Walk me through what that shelter could look like, what you're hoping it will accomplish, and yeah.
I would say our operator that we intend to go with is CityCare, and they are housing focused. They're a flow system for shelters. They do not intend to warehouse people. So, and they're so effective at it that we learned at the neighborhood stakeholder meeting that they've been approached by Tulsa to also build a housing-focused shelter in that city, which does have shelters, but not with the same focus. The proposed site is south of Food and Shelter, north of the Alameda Church of Christ. It would have things that we don't have off of Gray Street currently, which are showers, laundry, kennels, medical respite rooms, and family units.
A recent study came out, and 74% of people in your ward say that homelessness is a serious or very serious problem. And also on the flip side of that, 74% of people in your ward say that they will support the April bond initiative. But what do you have to say to that 26% that don't necessarily support this decision?
I would be curious their reasons as to not supporting. If they're concerned it's just young people looking for a handout, I will say that because I lead oversight and I serve on the Oklahoma Municipal League, I know the state data and the local data shows that it is seniors 55 plus experiencing homelessness for the first time who are our fastest growing population, and it is housing, bills, and disability usually factors into that. And then for our young people who might be using the shelter, some of that is they're working poor and they can't afford to live in a market rate unit in Norman.
There's a lot of big projects in Norman that are being worked on right now. Is there one that you think is that you hope would be your legacy?
I definitely want to get a shelter over the line, but I'm very invested in what happens on Griffin property. I know that our master plan is our city guardrails for what could be developed over there, but my neighborhood is along that way. And so Cape Park and a green belt that buffers the neighborhood from a new development would be appreciated. But I would like to see in the new neighborhood accessible, affordable housing for all income types and ages. I think aging in place is really important. It's why I'm really invested in what I'm doing, because I see myself as an older person in this community, and I want to know that I have good sidewalks and lighting so I can still go to downtown or potentially this new development, which we'll call Griffin Neighborhood for right now. But, you know, this opportunity on Griffin for housing, mixed-use commercial, potentially more arts. There's even envisioned, whether it happens or not, another question, but a film production spot that's modeled off the Jim Henson one in California. Like, those things could happen if we attract those developers or businesses.
Is there anything else you want Ward 4 to know about you?
Well, that if you're listening, Ward 4, I'm committed. I think that if I'm not burned out, I'll keep doing this until 2030. It takes a while to get to where you want to go, and I definitely don't bend the knee to bullies, and I think we all can see that. So I hope that they still have confidence in me come Tuesday.
And Ward 4 residents most certainly did have confidence in Councilmember Grant. According to unofficial results from the state election board, Grant won the seat with over 60% of the vote. Michael, back to you.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you for watching Sooner Stories. Tune in next week for the next edition.